Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we will be looking at my favorite line on the CSX system, the Brooksville sub that's only about 10 minutes from my house. Now, in the past couple months, there have been a few changes between what trains serve what industries and what times now. And in this video, I plan to show you guys what exactly is going down and also update you on what's going on the line and hopefully some future things that might be coming. So without further ado, let's head out to Land O'Lakes on a brisk Tuesday night. Finally, my schedule has calmed down enough to make these shots possible again. I have rehearsals for band on Tuesday and Thursday nights, and by the time I'm heading home from those, L781 is already long gone. 781's Tuesday and Thursday night schedule hasn't changed much, although the turn has been leaving Tampa earlier now between 6 and 7 p.m. on Tuesdays and between 7 and 8 on Thursdays. In early September, I'd catch a Tuesday night run rolling by Morgan Road and Land O'Lakes with a normal consist. Just up the line by about 2 miles is Pasco Iron and Metal, or PIM for short. Here those hoppers of scrap are loaded and taken back to Tampa, usually brought north by the Tuesday night job, and taken back south next week. A couple of Thursdays later, I'd be out for tonight's train, not expecting that there would be any scrap on this one, and I'd be proven right by a cut of hoppers for CEMEX riding solo behind 2 biodiesel motors. The way it's been is still the way it is on these turns, biodiesels as power, usually a pair of them, usually from the 7500 series yard pool. Not hated, but not really much to be excited about. I guess it just proves the old adage that what's normalized will always get boring at some point. The main thing that has changed on this subdivision are the Sunday night turn jobs. Instead of running a separate L781 up this sub and then running an L755 to Drew in the same day, most Sundays L755 takes over 781's duty up here, lately just being a stop at Tibbits Lumber in Land O'Lakes. Remember, 755 is the Drew Park auto rack job that leaves Yeoman around 10 in the morning, so Sundays it's been a ritual for me now to go and see the move either right before or right after church. It's September 22nd, 2024, and my first time seeing the move. Very, very exciting, as seeing something other than biodiesels run up this time in broad daylight is pretty uncommon. I'd underestimate how fast a pair of 4-axle Jeeps could run up this line, setting a new record in my book, 35 minutes from Tampa to Lutz. Getting caught at the US 41 crossing would be an easy chase to my first spot, as the speed limit here on US 41 is almost triple the railroad's. Pulling in and setting up at the Lutz Whistle Stop Depot off of 4th Avenue, I catch the pair of engines rolling north, doing every little bit of their 25 miles per hour that they're allowed to do. Since last winter and the maintenance season that brought new ties and sections of rail to this line, the speed limit has gone up another 5 to 10 miles an hour in some places, including Lutz. Instead of a measly 15 through town, they can do a solid 25 to 30 now, making for much more interesting shots and chases. Next stop would be off of 41 again, now just past State Road 54, a massive road that connects US 19 to Land O'Lakes and I-75 in Wesley Chapel. It's also the main route that I take when I want to drive straight to Vitus Junction via Zephyr Hills. Since the switch at Tibbits is facing south and there are no other runaround tracks in the area, 2 engines are needed so that there's always a locomotive leading instead of shoving cars all the way south back to Sulphur Springs. So once the crew has stopped the engines and engineer applied 3-step protection, the conductor detaches the 2 Jeep 40s so that the 6510 can pull out the empty center beam and sandwich it between the 6557. If you're still confused on what I'm yapping about, you'll see what I mean in just a second. There'd be 3 crew members on today's L755, an engineer, a conductor, and a conductor trainee, the man in the orange gear. This is definitely an interesting job to get trained on, as CSX treats this operation up here similar to a short line. Now past the switch at the SR 826.1, 6510 backs into Tibbits trackage and couples onto the empty center beam dropped off by the previous week's Sunday L755. With the empty now coupled on, the crew pulls out and backs onto the main. They'd still have to reset the derail and lock the fence before heading back south, so I drive to my next location as to not be in a rush while driving through the traffic light garden that is Land O'Lakes around here. Setting up at Lake Hobbs Drive, the cool autumn breeze and bright sunny sky would make for a really nice shot as L755 heads back south to Sulphur Springs. This would complete his duties on the Brooksville sub today, starting from Tampa and heading north up to here, and then back to Sulphur Springs, where they'll drop the center beam in the siding and go up the Clearwater sub to Drew Park at the SY855. Well, everyone, that headlight that's about to come around the corner is L781 heading north to Brooksville tonight with a few stops along the way. Should have a pretty healthy train for CSX. We're set up at the curve, northbound curve I should say, between US 41 and County Line Road. A shot I've had in mind for a little bit now, and now that I have a good night lens, it is very attainable. So here he comes. As we've established, those scrap cars are for Land O'Lakes, with the following 6 hoppers for a plastic pellet industry in the Spring Hill Airport's industrial park. The center beam behind it is also destined for the same spur, where 84 Lumber has a large facility. 24 two-bay hoppers for CSX would bring up the rear, making up for quite the train tonight, 35 cars in all. Back at it again, I'm now getting jump scared by another insanely quick L755. Today's train would only have one engine as they'd be running up to Tibbits with one load and returning engines light, now beating their previous record of 30 minutes to Lutz from Tampa. I catch up to the train near the apex and then continue north to a shot I got about 3 years ago on a Tuesday night train, now seen in daylight. Right in front of the Lutz Preparatory School, the Brooksville sub crosses US 41 at a diagonal angle, making for an authentic Lutz scene as traffic on both north and southbound lanes on this busy road builds. Now back at the curve at County Line, I'd catch the train one more time before their stop at Tibbits. This is a shot that I took right out of the late Ken Ramp Jr.'s book. Ken was one of only 2 or 3 people that documented this line before I started coming out, and I'm grateful for his wonderful footage that's still all over YouTube and waiting to be watched. I drive back south to Whistle Stop after, and talking to the owner long enough would cause me to see 755 returning south, now light engines, and seen up from above. If you're ever in the area, make sure to stop by Whistle Stop. It's a family-owned and operated business with a sizable antique shop, tea room, and courtyard where refreshments are sold. The next Sunday I'd be out once again, as I wanted to, instead of chasing this one, set up at Tibbits and get better close-up footage of 755 switching here. With 2 empties in the spur and a load to be dropped off today, I knew it would get interesting with another 2-engine operation, so I'd hold my ground and put up the drone to catch 755 arriving, crossing the massive State Road 54 that I talked about earlier. If you live in the area, it's a common sight to see Tibbits trucks driving around, dropping off lumber to various construction sites, and now especially busy with plazas and houses alike that are being rebuilt built after the hurricane season. Here at the corner of 41 and 54, they run quite the operation, with a receiving area where the railroad stops, and other areas designated for cutting, finishing, and preparing lumber for the customer. It's normal to see full house frames built here and then transported flat on trucks to their respective neighborhoods. Today's power would be two Jeep 38-3 rebuilds, with the load for Tibbits being coupled to the 2060, with the 2001 uncoupling from that to pull the empties out. As the conductor unlocks the derail and the gate, the engineer throws a switch for the spur and starts to pull in as the conductor counts down the cars for him on the ground.
Switch to the SR. 826.6 reverse, 1133, Greg, 1133. Mind up speed. Trailers off, gates off.
With clearance from Tibbits to pull out the empties, out they'd come, pulling by the switch and backing onto the main line again. With the switch thrown back from the main by the conductor, 755 now backs his entire train onto the 2060, making for one of the weirdest consists I've ever seen.
15, 10, 5 more, good. Clear, stretch off.
With 2060 as a quasi-middle engine now, the entire train is backed into the spur, leaving the load at Tibbits and setting up the 2060 to lead south now. Once again, I'd leave early and head to a spot I've been wanting to shoot for a while.
Anyway, here's good when you get them stopped.
At what locals call the Apex, which is the intersection of Florida and Nebraska avenues, there's a welcome sign that the town's Civic Association put up a couple years ago, when they re-landscaped the entire area with palm trees, flowers, and even old railroad ties that they bought from CSX after they sat in a pile nearby for ages. Pulling over and walking across the road is the only way to get here, so I'd make sure to have plenty of time to set up and wait. About 10 minutes of it would yield 755 heading back south again, this time with somewhat of a train, still looking kinda funny with the two engines. And one more Tuesday night. Now set up with my dad, I'd catch L781 running north again, with another large consist for Brooksville and customers along the way. I'm filming this from Brinson Avenue, where the tracks are crossing Dale Mabry at another interesting diagonal angle. We'd wait for the crew to switch Pasco iron and metal, catching the move one last time at Drexel Drive, a shot I've been wanting to try out for when the weather gets colder and the stars are brighter, not blocked by clouds or as much humidity for that matter. This is where we'd end the night and this Brooksville subdivision adventure as a whole. I hope y'all enjoyed this one as much as I enjoyed making it and especially filming it. I'll keep going out for these as long as I live here, so expect plenty more videos from this line to come. But until we meet again somewhere out there on the high iron, this is Christian from Multicolor Films. End of transmission.